My mic is on. Your mic is on. Bear Racing Live. We are live once again, boys. We have made it out of the off season, out of winter. Hibernation is over. I'm so proud of that pun. Oh, we're
Butter.
almost out of it, Jamie.
There's cars on track tonight.
Yes, there is. Preseason practice, I guess we could call it, down at Alltech in Florida. Um,
Yep.
the short track super series is no longer promoting that event. The dirt track digest guys are. We'll touch on that in a little bit. It just feels so good to finally be out of winter, to finally be out of hockey season. I don't need to think about the Rangers for another 2 weeks. Olympics are right around the corner. Uh,
Yeah, we're here. It's always, don't get me wrong, love Volusia, love all tech, but then it's like a taste, and then you have to wait for another month until Port Royal gets here. So
yeah,
that's a
exactly.
bit of a bummer, but and the cold weather's not helping. So at least we got something to watch because it's been a brutal winter.
Oh, it's been miserable. It's been miserable. It was a high of 25 today, down where I am. I'm not made for
Yeah,
this, man.
it felt like spring here in Philly. It was, I think we hit the 30s, so it felt like spring. We were outside. Yeah, I got a bunch of outside work done at the office today. So yeah, it's we're cooking.
Oh man. So if you guys are new to the channel, new to the live streams, first of all, thank you so much for stopping by, checking this out. My name is Tom. I'm a track chaser. I travel all over the Northeast to visit as many tracks as possible to document, record, and preserve what it's like going to all these races, from the big shows like Super DIRTcar Series to the small weekly events at your local backyard bull ring. I grew up Orange County Fair Speedway. I have been around big block modifieds my whole life. And I thought it'd be a cool idea a couple years ago to take this channel and do a weekly live stream um, news recap just to see what's going on in our neck of the woods over the past week. So I joined, or I asked Jamie Club Wago to join me today to help me touch on all of these different news topics that we have to go through. It's been a wild off season, to say the least.
Yeah, it's been I mentioned to you before that, I kind of missed the days of the big off seasons, but between, even like sponsors jumping ship. I mean, you saw Matt Shepard, loses HAS and
Hmm.
and Kibble House goes over to Loudon Reimer and FX compares now with Justin Hares, and even the sponsorship stuff is going crazy. You got the ride switching around and track sanction changing, and yeah, it's been a fun off season.
Yeah, we don't normally get this in modern dirt track racing. This is normally like reserved to the World of Outlaw sprint cars or the Lucas late model guys, where you have different team owners who hire and bring in their own sponsors and stuff. But lately with Northeast Dirt Modifieds, it's a lot of the guys who just own their own equipment. So when we have an off season like this with rides changing around, sponsors changing, it's a big deal now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even on the crew chief side of it, Randy Kosaki leaving Matt Shepard and kind of going into semi-retirement, joining, his son-in-law Mike Maresca. I mean, it's you got crew guys changing where they're at, and that's going to be a big storyline to follow. And on top of that, like you said, you're going to touch on that later, but you got Felix Wall with a new home on Friday nights, and David Hebert's got a new home, and you got Mike Guler a new home, and yeah, we've got a lot of changing parts and a lot of new colors, and that's the fun part of these early spring slash late winter shows. You get to kind of everything comes to fruition. You see how everything lands.
Yeah, it's like a preseason preview, uh, just a taste of what's to come for the upcoming racing season.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for. I mean, all tech's going to be great. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
Volusia, we should be in the mid 40s, and that surface has been awesome. I don't know if you've been following along with the ASCS stuff
Yeah.
and
Yep.
the Outlaws there tonight, and yeah, that surface. And for the record, the big blocks have always ran really good there. The racing there has been phenomenal. I
Yeah.
mean, remember last year we kind of dominated the headlines down there with Yankowski and Shepard yelling at
Yep.
each other on the front stretch.
You beat
But
me to it.
yeah, it's been fun, so it should be even better. So all tech's going to be great. Mallet sounds like going to be in like the mid to high 20s for that big block car count. And yeah, next week should explode.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to talk about car count and stuff, but it's crazy how Modify Nation travels so well, because we have these two shows in Florida that are just always bring the best of the best down with them, a decent crowd size too, and everybody online is talking about the races. We also have stuff like Charlotte, always sold out. I count 15, 20 different driver shirts every time I'm down there. We used to do the Cajun swing back a couple years ago. That was cool. But man, if Florida racing, just to give us these 2 weeks of like, hey, we're almost out of it. We still have another month to go before we could all really be there in person again. But this is what you have to look forward to. Get ready, boys.
Yeah, and there's a lot of prestige that goes along with, especially Evolution. There's, they've been going down there now I mean, they were down there for the 80s for a little bit, but since this rekindling, it's been 25 years now. So, everybody wants those gators. Everybody wants that big gator at the end of the week. And I mean, I remember I went down there in 2007, I want to say it was, and the car count was like 25. And now, I mean, the last few years it's been in the 40s. And like I said, it's going to be in the 40s again this year.
Hmm.
And just really quality equipment. And that's even with, Mike Mahaney always skips it. Some of those Super Dirt Series guys, Tim Sears Jr. is skipping it this year. It's obviously not a points race. It's not a contract race, but still just massive fun fields. I mean, I'm from the Grandview area. We got 5 Grandview regulars going down there this year, which I
Yeah.
don't think we've ever had before.
Yeah. It's just, I'm excited to watch it. So we'll get into some of that a little bit later. We'll preview All Tech. So before we really get into the weeds on the stream, guys, I'm not a professional. I don't have this big talent pool behind me. I am a one-man show with Jamie joining me today, so I'm not talking to myself for an hour and a half. So if you guys notice anything wrong with the stream, audio levels are a little off. Don't be shy to tell me. Don't be shy to just jump in the chat and say what you guys have to say, what you think about any of the topics. So, with that being said, the super casual fan driven show, let's have some fun.
Absolutely.
All right. Oh, that is a good course light. All right. let me do this. So, all smiles aside for a second, the first news story we have to go over is a pretty sad one. News from drivers, team sponsors, and tracks all took a back seat over the winter as the biggest news clipping has to come from a serious side. Beloved promoter of Albany Saratoga Speedway, Lyle DeVore, has passed last December after a 4-year battle with cancer. Lyle grew up attending the Speedway and over the years slowly climbed the ladder at the track, eventually earning the title of promoter in 2012. Lyle dedicated his life to the growth of the sport in the capital region, and along the way, he carved a legacy that will be missed in the hearts of every single person who attended the track. Lyle's wife Marcy and Pete Scully have been tapped as the new promoters to fill Lyle's big shoes that he has left behind. Jamie, I know you actually do work in the industry, or at least have in the past. Do you have any cool stories you want to share of Lyle, or if you did know him personally?
Yeah, I did not know him personally, but the year I spent working with Dirt, when we were at Lebanon Valley, he was literally doing everything. He was Howie's right-hand man. And he's been that guy for forever. He was kind of part of that. I forget what they called themselves, but when Alex Friesen came up, he was along with that when they called themselves the Boy Wonders or whatever it was. Somebody correct me. I know that they had some clever thing, but it was
Yeah, it was like a
the young,
club nickname.
young promoters that were coming up,
Yeah.
and it was horrible that we lost Alex when we did, and now we lose Lyle in excuse me, an untimely situation as well. And it's a massive hole that he's leaving behind. I mean, you look at what he's done at Albany, and it's probably the best weekly field around. It has that atmosphere. I'm a big atmosphere guy. When you go into Albany, Saratoga, it feels like a big event, even for a weekly show.
Hmm.
And that was all Lyle, and very fan oriented. He was one of the few guys that was willing to tough out the weather. I mean, and just pristine track conditions, whether he was running it at Lebanon Valley or at Albany. And yeah, it's a massive hole that he's leaving behind, and I'm really happy that his wife's staying involved. It's that the whole family's done a really good job there. His daughter is involved with a lot of the PR stuff, and it's I'm there's so many question marks around Albany already, and then you throw this into there. Definitely a scary situation, a heartbreaking situation. And I know that they're going to do everything they can to honor Lyle this year. The future's still murky, but this year it's going to be all about honoring Lyle, and it's going to be a massive year, and can't wait to celebrate his life.
Yeah, even the Facebook page for Albany Saratoga just updated their cover photo yesterday or 2 days ago of Lyle in one of the graders prepping the track. He was just super beloved in the community there, and you mentioned he always toughed out the weather. When I went to film my video of Albany Saratoga, I had to drive up, rent a campground, and wait to see if they were actually going to race that night because it was expected to rain. And I kept waiting and I kept hoping. And eventually they put on their Facebook, "We're racing tonight." And I drove over there. And you could even see in the video, with the threat of rain, the stands were pretty packed. That track owes so much to Lyle. And man, like I keep saying it, there's big shoes to fill over there. And there's a lot of empty hearts now because of it.
Yeah, he was one of the few guys that still focused on the front gate mentality, and it really showed with their weekly programs. And he was also just the way he battled this disease, and went through the entire cancer battle that he dealt with. He was really inspirational. He didn't let it ever. He never used it as an excuse. He battled throughout. I mean, there was a lot of people that didn't even realize he was sick, if it wasn't, relatively public knowledge at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, he nose to the pavement and kept pounding, and just it was an amazing 2025. And like I said, it just it's yeah, it's really sad. Another way to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's either the Super Dirt race there or the first week opener, I believe they dedicated to Lyle.
Yeah,
Um,
the Super Dirt Series show.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, what else can you say, man? He's a loved guy. He's gonna be missed.
Absolutely.
Okay, now give me a second to switch this over. Everything's manually. Everything I do is manually. All right. New Egypt Speedway, one of the two dirt tracks located in New Jersey, announced that as things stand in the ownership and promotion side of the business, the track will not be opening its gates for the 2026 season. Citing financial struggles, owner of the property, Fred Valsing, taking a guess on that pronunciation, stated
That's
that,
right.
thank you, stated that as he is looking to sell the track after 19 seasons, preferably to someone who will keep it a speedway. Over the last 2 seasons, the track made big changes in the promotion side of things, adding the Super DIRTcar Series as well as the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars to their calendar. They also opened their own YouTube channel for free streaming of their weekly shows. This leaves just Bridgeport Speedway as the only other dirt track in the state and Wall Stadium as the final permanent racetrack for automobiles in New Jersey. I did not expect this news at all when it dropped.
Yeah, it was a weird situation because I know when Chris Moore first took the position, he had said that Fred basically gave him a year to show profit last year, and unfortunately they were still in the red. The part that was weird though was they did definitely build momentum throughout the year.
Mhm.
I was at the Super Dirt Series race; it was packed for that show. The weekly show started off a little bit light, but they gained some cars. Billy Pouch Jr. left Bridgeport, came on board there. It was a really good championship battle between Pouch Jr., Go Down, and Buck. The sportsman car count was healthy. The new modified car count was healthy. The streaming helped a lot.
Mhm.
The end of the year, relatively strong with the World of Outlaw show. There was a little bit of weather got in the way of the All-Star Cup shootout deal, but they definitely had momentum on their back. And I know that they actually had been talking about potentially doing some part-time big block racing. It was going to be a once-a-month deal. Some teams actually had started to purchase big blocks, and then this rug got pulled out from under it. So in Fred Valsing's defense, he said if it didn't show profit last year, he was going to not open. It did not show profit last year, even though they did have momentum towards the end of the year. And then we're in this situation now. In terms of its future, I know there have been multiple people interested, whether it was in a lease or a purchasing situation. What Fred's asking for it, I do not see anybody purchasing it. I hope that some kind of a lease can come to it. We're getting, I mean, it's February now. We're getting late into it. I'm worried. I'm less optimistic than I was at first. At first, I thought somebody's going to step up and do it. And I know there have been some buyers that were interested, and I also know that there are not currently any buyers
Yes.
that are lined up. So it's it's a shitty situation for us as race fans. It's easy to be upset at Fred Valsing, but at the same time, it's his money, and
Yeah.
and to make it even more random, I don't know if you're familiar with Fred Valsing, but he owns the 323 that Johnny Bangs currently drives. David Van Horn was a former driver, Neil Williams. And
Yep.
he just
Yep.
bought a new Bicknell for Johnny Bangs to drive this year. I have been told from a very reliable source. So I don't know if that means that potentially they will hit the road a little bit. They were at Oswego for the 358 race, or if that means that potentially Fred runs a couple races if it happens. I don't know. They made a point to comment that they were going to have the quarter midget track on the facility still run because that keeps them locked in with the township
Hmm.
as being a racetrack, and kind of honors the what they have to do for the township. So it's kind of a way to get around it staying a racetrack because technically it's still a race. But yeah, I'm definitely not optimistic compared to where I was at a month ago even when the announcement first came out. I did not think that it was going to be a situation where the track sat dormant. Now, if you made me put a gun to my head and made me make a decision, I would say that we will not see racing at New Egypt in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely came as a surprise. I totally lost what I was just about to say, but yeah, it's weird because the track isn't getting torn down. The track isn't sold to someone who wants to tear the track down.
Mhm.
So I have that hope that, things are going to get better. Maybe not for this season. Maybe it's just a year off. But you said it. It's already February. What what
Yeah,
what?
I will say that I know Fred has the highest offer Fred has was for again, this is from not from Fred itself, but somebody that is close with the facility.
Mhm.
But the highest offer they got was from somebody that was going to have it not be a racetrack, and he turned the that offer down because of that. So that should be some peace of mind a little bit. Somebody's not going to buy it and tear it down this year. I also know that Fred's a successful businessman, and he understands that if something sits dormant for a while, it starts to rot and loses its value. So
Mhm.
it's going to be interesting to see what ultimately happens. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's a random, race that is just a normal purse that is run on a random Wednesday in
Mhm.
August. But I also, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if nothing happens there this year and they just focus on the quarter midget track.
Yeah, I mean the property still makes money. I know he leases a lot of renting area out to like
Yeah.
big rigs and stuff like that who are just coming right off the highway. And I mean, 19 seasons owning the track, you can't really ask much more from him already. When the track had iffy future when he first took it over from the Grossos, I believe, if my memory serves me right, going back to when
I
I
think Bill
did research on
Mustaski
this.
bought it after the Grossos, and then he bought it from Bill.
Okay. All right. But yeah, I mean he kept this place alive for the last 19 years and I loved going to it. I camped at it before for a weekly race showcase you could find on my channel. Before we wrap up the New Egypt talk, I want to share the story I had where I was the only one camping in that ground that night, which made me a little nervous. It always does when you're by yourself in a place you don't know. But I just kept thinking, man, I hope the New Jersey Devil doesn't show up.
Yeah, well, yeah, you survived.
I
You
survived. I
survived.
made
That's
it out. I made it.
I know that the township actually, speaking of camping, the township gave them a hard time
They
about
sure
camping, and they
did.
never had, yeah, they never had major events, and I'm sure that didn't help. If Fred was on the fence about what to do, I'm sure that did not help the entire situation. But I have talked to a couple of drivers, and they're already starting to make plans to go elsewhere. Chris Garbath's going to focus on Orange County,
Mhm.
along with the Susquehanna shows and the shows at Action Track USA. Davey Salmons is going to go to Bridgeport.
Mhm.
Paul Mancini's hitting the road. He's going to run the 58 series and a lot of the Super Dirt series as well. Some
Oh, that's cool.
STSS races. Jack Butler's hitting the road. Yeah, so guys are already starting to make plans. So just they got to make a decision soon,
Yeah, I mean,
especially if they're going to run weekly, which
yeah.
I'm assuming at this point. And I mean, they can work something out with Bridgeport potentially. Bridgeport's only running those 14 races,
Mhm.
so they can potentially alternate schedules. But even for that, it's getting late in the game.
Yeah, you already have the equipment, you already put money in it for prepping for the season. You got to do something. You can't just sit on it. Question in chat from Kevin: is a lease by the promoter an option for New Egypt, or is it for sale only? I believe both is an option. If you can find
Yeah,
a promoter to lease it.
I think that he very much wants to sell it and not lease it, but I believe that he is willing to listen to leases. The number I was given for the lease is relatively high, so I would think that it's very unlikely that it gets leased by somebody. Um, Now that would be on a monthly lease. I don't know if maybe he would do something where he would rent the track out for an event or anything along those lines. But yeah, I don't see anybody coming in to lease it for a full season based on the number that's been thrown out there.
Yeah, and you mentioned maybe having a pop-up event here and there. Great idea, but I think if you were to do that, you would probably do that with the Super Dirt and the Short Track Super Series race that was already announced.
Yeah, I mean the problem with doing that is you have so much overhead that you need to have a big field, a big crowd to show up. You know, the the you can play to your advantage the fact that you can kind of bill it as like this could be the last race ever, and you
Right.
could pay 2,000 to win and still get a decent amount of cars and fans
Mhm.
and not have as much overhead. You know, we've kind of seen that happen before. You know, Humberstone recently, you know, their final race wasn't a big paying race, but they had a lot of cars and a lot of fans because they said, "Look, this is it."
Yeah.
You know, hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I mean, if there is a murky future, I could see them drawing very well from the front gate and the back gate, just because you don't know if they're going to run again. So yeah, I don't think I would be willing to bet anything that it's not going to be a touring series that ends up going there, or even a relatively high paying race, unless somebody were to come in and actually lease the track for that specific race, which, to your point, both of those sorts, Brett Deo and the World Racing Group both do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of question marks because, you know, usually when you do those kind of leases, you're able to or do those kind of rentals, you're getting the staff of the track as well, and there isn't a staff right now, so it's a lot of hurdles, So I don't know. Hopefully I'm wrong, and all my pessimism is unfounded, but nervous.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Short term, I think we can get out of it. He said he doesn't want to. Well, he said he's looking to sell it to someone to keep it a racetrack, but I think the longer we wait, that's the scarier that's going to be.
Yep, I agree.
How about some positive news? Stuart Friesen posted videos of himself back behind the wheel of his big block modified for the first time after his vicious crash at Autodrome Drummond last summer. He noted, "I didn't need to reteach myself how to drive, thankfully. It's like riding a bike." He made some test laps at a track in North Carolina named Friendship Motor Speedway, stating he has no issues with his ankle, foot, or legs due to multiple gym sessions he's taken, ladies. Knocking off the rust was a little emotional for himself and his crew chief, Tommy Conroy. Stewie's first laps under competition will be this week at Alltech and the DTD Showdown. It was a scary crash, man. There's no way to go about it. And then the initial impact with the wall, getting hit when he came down. It happened quite a lot last year where my heart was in my stomach, and that was certainly one of those times. So to see him climb back behind that car again, smiling, laughing, wiping dirt off of his face, just one of the best news stories to come out of the winter.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually at that race, and yeah, it was definitely took your breath away. Definitely your heart sank during that, and you know, I was sitting off of turn 4, so pretty quick for me to get into the pits. So when that was, you know, when it was taking a while to get him, I kind of went down there to try to see what was going on, and you could actually hear him yelling when they tried to pull him out of the car from where I was, and I wasn't right at the car or anything like that. So super scary. Obviously, just incredible injuries. I can't believe how fast he was walking. I know it was obviously months of rehab, but I don't know if you listened to the Dirt Track Digest podcast that they have on Monday nights.
Yes, I was tuned in.
Mondays or whatever. But yeah, those guys do a good job. So tune in if you guys aren't already. But Stewie was on there, and you know, sounds like he's in good spirits. Sounds like he's ready to go. The test session reports I'd heard is he was, you know, a half second off of, you know, what he had done when he tested there before, and you know, like you said, like he said, it's just like riding a bike. So I gotta say though, Stu has had some vicious wrecks in his life. I mean, he's definitely a gasser, but I mean, I don't know if you remember the Cajuns when you referenced that earlier. He had a nasty tumble with the Rev.
Yep.
I remember at Bubba Raceway Park, him and Mike Guler were running for the lead, and he ended up hitting like the pit wall and getting upside down. I remember at Eastern States maybe 10, 12 years ago, he had to get cut out of the car after a big wreck on the front stretch.
Yep.
He's had he's had his share of tumbles. He was upside down at Syracuse in the Chew 99, and yeah, maybe.
Oh man, that's a throwback.
Yeah, hopefully he's not. Hopefully he's got some of those. Hopefully the highlights are just winning. No more launching or flying through the air or fires or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like you said on that show, he was laughing, joking, taking questions with the fans, ripping into Matt Smith on the show. As he's a Canadian goon, man. Likes to get hit, likes to get back up, likes to throw some more, and it's just it. Modified racing is so grateful to have a guy like this because he's just like, yeah, yeah, I was on fire. Okay, next.
Yeah, no, it was man. Yeah, I can still picture. I remember David Hebert was making a move down the backstretch. I told the guy sitting next to me, I was like, "Oh, here comes Hebert," and then boom, because
Yeah,
they were three wide. Bernard was in the middle, and yeah, that was definitely one of the definitely top two or three scariest wrecks I've seen. And I mean, it was like one of those things where it was like kind of in slow motion because I remember being in the air on fire, and I was like, "Thank God nobody hit him." And then here comes Mario Claire, and
yeah,
boom.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm glad, Mario Claire raced last year, but glad he's okay. I haven't heard really much about Gil Tag, but he broke his neck in April, and I
Land
feel
of
like
Legends.
everybody,
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like
yeah.
that got overshadowed. I know Tyler Seary isn't cleared to run Volusia yet, but he's going to be their crew chiefing for Bobby Varon, so he's on the mend and hoping to be back for Port Royal. So it was a really scary year last year. Hopefully, we don't have any of that this year, and but at least everybody's on the mend. Everybody's okay. Everybody's up and moving around, and if they're not already back in the car, they're on the mend and getting there.
Yeah, I mean, all those crashes you mentioned. There was the one at Sealands Grove that took out like
Yeah.
half the field, three of them upside down at once.
Yep. Luckily, everybody was okay in that one, and that was
Yeah.
that was probably the most vicious. Well, Stewie's was maybe worse, but yeah, in terms of what 6, 7 cars got upside down at that one,
Yeah.
that was nasty. But yeah, everybody walked away from that one, and then the other ones, you've seen just yeah. What do we have? Two broken necks. I forget. Did Tyler Seary? He had broken ribs, and yeah, I can't think of another year where we had this many injuries.
It's been a
And,
while. It
yeah.
really has, especially with the star power that's been injured. Yeah, we're out of
And it was across the board. We saw it in sprint. I mean, how many guys in sprint cars got hurt?
Yeah, at
I mean,
Eldora.
just Eldora, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, thank God everybody survived. And like I said, it didn't have anything permanent and back in the race car.
You mentioned watching it live. I remember watching the broadcast live, and you see him jump the cushion, go a little wide, and like in slow motion, I'm like, he looks like he's off his line. Oh, he's really off his line. Uh-oh. It was like
Yeah.
just great to see him back though, man. Hopefully he gets some good runs. I would love to see him win this week, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean he was a rocket ship. I think if I remember right, I think he won 3 of the 4 shows last year. So obviously different rules and everything like that. I mean, him and Matt Shepard, their open motor program is exceptional. But he had that big block working pretty good last year. He's really good at all tech, and I wouldn't bet against him honestly.
Yeah. All right.
And I mean, we just saw Tyler Courtney do that. Comes back from injury, and
Yeah, he wins 2 features.
yeah. So Stewie's just got to follow suit.
Yeah, I think he could do it. I really do.
I agree.
All right. A couple years ago, Orange County Fair Speedway was on the minds of Modified Nation in the worst possible way. Would this track ever open its gates again? Well, as time passed, we showed everyone what it's like to be a stubborn New Yorker, because not only has this track survived the years, it's found its footing so comfortably that it was actually the first track to announce its schedule for 2026. Very similar to 2025, this season sees another slate of 5 weekly shows, plus Eastern States Weekend to cap it off. The highlights, once again, include Nostalgia Night, the Traverse Memorial, 107th Anniversary Night, and the biggest one of all, the Bear Birthday Bash. My birthday is on July 12th. I don't know if I'm going to do anything or not, but I'm going to be there, so you should be too. We are so back, baby. It feels so good to have my home track not close its gate. I've said it so many times on this channel. I grew up at this place. I have some of the earliest memories being in the inside of turn 3 with my dad's Pro Stock, eating Tootsie Rolls from the bathroom, sitting in a tire wheel hammock, watching the cars go by. What else do you say, man? My backyard is not closing yet.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, we've seen a couple other tracks do the part-time schedule, and it seems to work.
Yeah.
It's typical. It's classic economics, right? If you keep supply low, demand stays high. So each one of those races turns into a must-see event. And I mean, the car counts were in the high 30s for every one of them. They had a couple. I think the highest one they had, if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong, was 44 for one of them. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
Orange County always had solid fields. I know that a lot of these guys aren't racing anymore, but you always had Hindley and Meyer and
Yep.
Higby and
Yep.
all the local guys. But now along with, your Billy Van Imogens and your Tim Henley's still running there, your Cody Higbee's, you're throwing in, Ryan Godon's there, Billy Pouch Jr. is there, coming from up down here. You have Jack Lehner is,
Yep.
coming down from the north, and
Yep.
it's kind of a who's who and running on Sundays. And without Weed Sport anymore, and Utica Roan now runs on Fridays, there's nothing really running against them, and it's really a who's who every one of those monthly events, and it's really helped with the crowds as well, because it was a bit of a ghost town there for a little bit. But again, you keep the demand high by keeping the supply low. So it's worked at other facilities as well. We've seen Georgetown be successful with that.
Hmm.
And hey, if it keeps Orange County around here, keep doing it forever.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when we ran on Sundays last year, the only other track that we ran up against was Glen Ridge, which doesn't run big blocks. They run small blocks up there if the
Yep.
modifieds are on the card at all. We didn't have small block modifieds on the weekly program at Orange County. So there was really not a lot of overlap there. We had the Sunday all to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's and again, especially like it helps a lot with, I mean, Bridgeport no longer is running big blocks weekly, and
Hmm.
New Egypt's not running big blocks anymore weekly. And, Georgetown and Delaware are kind of doing the open motor thing instead of big blocks. So there's a lot of guys that still have big blocks. We actually, off the top of my head, I can think of 8 guys that got big blocks this year that didn't, and 6 of them are from my neck of the woods, which is within 2 hours of Orange County,
Right.
that they don't have anywhere else to run them. So that's where they're going to be able to shake their cars down and get that big block experience that they want to get. So it's perfect that they don't have to, if you're running at Grandview weekly, or you're running the 14 race deal at Bridgeport, or you're running the 12 race deal in Delaware, you can still go to Orange County on Sundays and for pretty solid purses, and yeah, still be able to get that experience. And guys like Matt Stangl, and
Yep.
we'll see if Paul Mancini chases the whole thing and Ryan Godon chases the whole thing, but they're able to get some of their dirt points without having to go all the way up to Albany on a Friday night or something along those lines. So it's really a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to Stort for a second, Kevin in the chat says, I think he wins one at Alltech, at least one.
I agree.
It'd be cool, man. It would be so cool. All right, what do we got next? What do we got next? Oh, that's funny. You just mentioned this one. Where is it? There it is. Bang. Utica Rome Speedway saw a lot of changes over the 2025 season, most notably the promoter at the start of the season, Brett Deo, not lasting the whole calendar year. UR Speedway wasn't absent in the off-season news cycle either, as the track announced that it will be DIRTcar sanctioned for 2026, with its Friday night headliner being the 358 modified class. This doesn't mean the big blocks won't appear at the Home of Heroes, though. The track inked spots on Super DIRTcar Series calendar, as well as taking a page out of Orange County's playbook and running shows on Sunday. On average of once per month, UR will open on Sundays for big block modified racing. Check My Race Pass for the track's full calendar of events.
Yeah, they kind of did the opposite way last year. They did the open mods weekly and then did a few specials at the 358s,
Mm-hmm.
and the 58s drew massive car counts as well. While the open modifieds, I think there was a couple of weeks where they ended up drawing like 12 cars. They started off the year in like the high teens, and they kind of guys ran into motor issues throughout the year and everything like that. And Matt Shepard's so dominant there, that doesn't help either.
Exactly.
So I'm interested to see how it works out. Obviously, when you have a situation, Orange County, case in point, when they were running big blocks weekly, there were car counts in, the mid 20s probably, if I remember right. And, it ballooned by 10. So will we see it go the opposite direction with the big 58s running every week? I think they still are going to have a really strong field of cars. I know AJ Pachabowski, former Outlaw champ, former Woodhull champ, he's going to be running there in the Zielinski car. I saw Peyton Talbot's going to be moving up. I saw Meg Richmond's going to be moving up. You're still going to have Matt Janzik there, but
Yep.
you're not going to have Matt Shepard. You're not going to have Alex Jankowski. Rocky Warner's looking for a ride. So it's going to be a new breed of drivers, which could be a good thing. It could kind of reinvigorate that. And what that also does, though, is it makes those Sunday specials more special. Those big block races are gonna feel like bigger events, and it's gonna be a similar situation like we just talked about with Orange County. There's not gonna be much competition, and it's gonna be a who's who. They're gonna draw a really good field for that big block that Sunday deal.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that turns out, especially with the small blocks there. You mentioned Matt Janzik. I thought he was like the breakout driver of the year last year. I cannot wait to see what he does in a more full-time basis at that track. What I didn't know is Matt Shepard really not going to go back there again?
Yeah, he's running. He doesn't actually have a 58. He that's why he was driving the Dave Camara car for like Eastern States and Super Dirt Weekend 58.
Okay.
Usually he gets W16 from somebody, but yeah, he's gonna run Outlaw on Fridays now, so he'll try to dethrone Mike Maresca from that. But and he was dominant there before. But yeah, so it's gonna be a new champion there. We'll see who ends up taking over, but. New. It's gonna be a new era at Utica Rome for sure.
That's interesting because I remember a couple years ago, Shepard and Tyler Seary had a little public argument about promotion and selling his T-shirts at the track and stuff like that. So that's interesting. That's a juicy tidbit I just learned.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah,
You don't have to comment.
the Shepard Series thing is, it runs deep. If you just look who's around Matt Shepard, it's easy to see what we're talking about. But yeah.
So wait, so Shepard's gonna run a big block at Outlaw Weekly.
I think he'll run the open motor, it'd be my guess, but
Okay.
yeah, he'll be there weekly. I mean, he was dominant there before. I mean, he drove for the CME team, the Sweeteners Plus team CME.
Mhm.
He drove for them for a little while there, won the championship. Then he drove his own stuff there, and then I mean, he's kind of when Utica Rome's been off, he's kind of gone there and taken plenty of money out of there over the last few years
Yeah.
as well. But I mean, Outlaws Field is definitely built up since that when he last ran there.
Oh yeah, I mean, Maresca won the championship. Payne's going to run
Yeah.
there in the 19 car every week.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know what the doctor's going to be doing, but I'm sure he's going to be
he'll be
showing up
there
for some.
he'll be there in a second Gibson car, and
Yep.
Bobby Varon and Pat Ward will be back there in Siri cars, and Siri runs all right there too, and
Mhm.
Jeff Doherty runs really good there, that 22. Tommy Collins, yeah, it's a solid field, and it's going to be an interesting little like side note. Randy Kosaki is now crew chiefing for Mike
Maresca,
Maresca,
yep.
and yeah, so we'll see who the real hero is there.
That's I had no idea about that. That is going to be one of the biggest things I watch as the season plays out is how he runs at Outlaw. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's switch over to do. Everything is manual. I do not have hotkeys. I also just realized I didn't print this one out. 1 second.
Just gonna hold a flagger up.
I have it typed. I didn't print it. Okay, so your camera is going to be off for a second, unless I do this.
All right, that's fine.
This might work. Okay. Lebanon Valley, a new crown jewel during big money season, may have just been announced. Lebanon Valley Speedway dropped their 2026 racing season schedule, and at the bottom of the page is a little something called the Syracuse 200 Reunion. I searched around pretty extensively to find out what the hell this thing is even supposed to be. Is it a car show? Is it honoring the past like Orange County's Nostalgia Night does? Well, it seems to be a genuine, bona fide 200-lap modified race with live pit stops a la Super Dirt Week style. No planned cautions, no mandatory pit stops, live fueling, high pressure, and insane speed, both on and off the track and on the hot pit. There isn't a lot to go off of, but the rumor mill sure is turning at high speed with this one. Jamie, they really just announced this track or announced this race without any build up, just on the bottom of their calendar. What can you tell me about this thing?
All right, so it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna be a legitimate race. The 200 is gonna be that Saturday. There's quite a bit of competition running against it, so I'm interested to see what kind of field they're gonna get. Can-Am has the Super Dirt Series.
Yep.
Bridgeport, who I thought maybe they would be able to get some cars from down my way. But Bridgeport's running their championship night that night. There's some other events that I can't think of off the top of my head now, but I'm interested to see where they're going to pull cars from.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a big block race. 358s are obviously allowed to run too. I have heard that there's a chance that they're going to also potentially allow open motors to run. So similar to Short Track Super Series, but it's going to be quick fills. It's going to be radios. It's going to be $25,000 to win. It's going to be $1,000 to start. They're bringing back the 200 for the first time since I believe 2008. And yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm excited about it. I don't know what kind of field they're going to get for it. If I'm being honest with you, you look, And outside of you, Mr. Dirt Track USA used to pay $25,500 to win.
Yep.
That was for 100 laps without having quick fills, without having radios, and they would draw car counts in the 30s and low 40s. It's obviously they've restructured the track or reconfigured the track a little bit. It's a
Hmm.
little bit more racy now.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's going to potentially bring some more guys up there. I'm also not sure if Matt Shepard not being there and Matt Williamson not being there potentially brings some more guys up there.
Well,
It's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I'm definitely gonna be there. I'm ecstatic for it. I don't care if they have 15 cars. I love 200 lappers. I love Lebanon Valley in general. Again,
yeah.
I'm a big atmosphere guy, and that's one of those tracks that every time you're there, it feels like an event.
Hmm.
And this is definitely gonna feel like an event. Howie and Tim Goey do a great job at promoting. They're another one that they care about the front gate and the back gate, so they're going to make it feel like an event. That clubhouse is going to be rocking, I'm sure, and yeah, it's gonna feel nostalgic. It's been. I think the last time we had live pit stops with radios and quick fills was Eastern States
20
3 or 4 years ago.
2021.
Yeah. And I mean, that didn't necessarily draw anybody else. And I think it was
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't think anything that crazy happened. But whatever, I'm on board. And, the thing you got to remember too with Lebanon Valley, I'm sure that some of the 58 guys are going to run that show too, so yeah,
Yep.
they get, 22 big blocks or whatever, but you're also going to have, they also get 18, 58s weekly. So,
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, if guys, feel like their car count's going to be light, guys are going to break out those 58s and see how long they can run on a tank of fuel. And yeah, so they're going to have cars. It's just who's going to show up, and honestly, that'll be part of the fun, seeing who shows up.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope they're able to keep it kind of like a secret, like enough to where they're able to sell tickets and promote some of the bigger names, but keep it secret enough to where if you see like Danny Buck just roll in out of nowhere, that'd be really cool. That'd be really cool to see. Um, the amount of times I put in my videos, screw stage cautions or screw planned cautions, no planned cautions has me through the moon, man. I cannot wait to see a, a genuine 200 lap race that I haven't feel like I've gotten the chance to see because I'm so young. Ha ha ha. But it's if this is real and they're not pranking us, I'm so excited to see it. I did also see though, it might have just been one news source I got that the Friday show is going to be a small block race.
I haven't heard anything about that. I just asked about the big blocks. I reached out to them, and they confirmed the 200 side of it. Back in the old days, they used to do the Race of Kings on Friday, so it'd be a 58 race on Friday. I might have that wrong. I think it might be a Saturday, Sunday back then, but yeah, they would be the whole weekend event. So I hope that they do that. That would make it even better. I know that big blocks are going to qualify on Friday for sure, so they might have a whole 58 show on top of that, and great. That's how it. I love those 2-day weekend shows.
Yeah, yeah, they're cool. You mentioned car count for this. I mean, I've never had a problem with a low car count at Fonda. Sure, Shepard can run away with it, but there's still like always a great battle for like 10th. Who cares if it's 10th? They're side by side for 14 laps.
No, for sure. And the nice part about the pit stops though is like, honestly, I like Fonda's 200 rules with, you're sure you have to break it halfway, but like anybody can fuel or take a tire at any point.
Mhm.
And it kind of shuffles that deck. And the thing I love about 200 lappers is, people used to say, oh, the racing in Syracuse sucks. Like, sure, it did many years, but it was always dramatic because you had that deck being shuffled all the time. Every time
Mhm.
there's a pit stop, and you have the different strategies, and you're not going to have a situation where a guy just runs out and hides because they're going to have to take fuel at some point. And if somebody outsmarts them, they got to work their way back up through there. So that's why I love the 200 lap race. And I know it's a dying thing, and I know that I'm probably in the minority, but I'm excited. I'm going to be there, and yeah, that's a big highlight on my schedule for this year.
Yeah, we said during the big money season prediction show, the 200 lap races is what sets Northeast Modifieds apart from sprint car shows and late model shows. These long distance stuff, it's a different breed, let alone driving the car a different style. You need to manage your equipment, be smart on strategy, and pace yourself over the 200 laps.
And the track changes so much in those
Yeah.
200 laps too. There's so many variables, and that's what makes it fun.
One more note. You mentioned Super DIRTcar Series is going to be up at Can-Am Speedway that night. You
Yeah.
said Bridgeport's got a race that night.
I know
Jamie,
Grandview runs.
yep, Jamie in chat just said Penn Can has the King of the Cans that weekend as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see who actually shows up for this thing.
Yeah, for sure. And it sucks, Penn Can, I don't know if any of those guys necessarily would have showed up. I mean, I think Justin Holland still has a big block, but like if Bridgeport and Grandview weren't running, I know Logan Watt really wants to run Lebanon Valley, but he's committed to Grandview.
Mhm.
And Rick Laubach's another one that, he's never afraid to travel. And I'm sure that, Billy Pouch Jr. I don't know necessarily where he's running yet, but he's one that potentially would we saw him go up to Fonda and support the 200 there. So, and yeah, Dylan Stoyer has won at Lebanon Valley before, but he's going to be committed to Bridgeport. And Sammy
Right.
March Jr. likes to run the 200 lappers. He's going to be committed to Bridgeport. So it sucks a little bit that all those tracks are going to be, running, and
Yeah.
I don't blame them for running because it's not a date that was ever not on their schedule. But it's a bit of a bummer, and it's one of those situations where us as modified fans, the cooperation between tracks never quite works out, and it seems like it never will, and we take the brunt of it. But whatever, like I said, it's still gonna be fun, even if it's just the weekly field of Becchetti and Hefner and Virgilio and Schroeder, and yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that weekly roster too. It's nothing to just brush off. I mean, how many times do we see him go toe to toe whenever Super DIRTcar Series is there?
Yeah, we see him beat a lot. Becchetti, Schroeder, all
Schroeder,
that. I mean,
yeah,
I think
exactly.
he's won more often than the dirt guys have won.
Short Track Super Series has had some bad publicity and hardships over the past couple of seasons, but some great news is to be had for fans of the series and Modified Nation in general. Announced in December, Brett Deyo has inked an extension with Flow Racing for exclusive broadcasting rights to the STSS North, STSS South regions, as well as an extension to the Track of Champions Fonda Speedway. All racing from the series as well as Fonda can be shown live on Flow for the next 3 seasons. That's until 2028.
Yeah, no, it's anytime we can get people or modifieds in front of people, that's big for us in general. And honestly, the reason I got Flow in the first place is because back then, Bridgeport and Granby and Fonda and Utica Rome and the Short Track Super Series. Honestly, the Dirt Series was on it at first, and yeah, so it is good for them. They honestly, the Short Track Super Series, they draw pretty well in terms of viewership numbers, and it's yeah, it's obviously a good thing to have our modifieds on there. I wish though, this is going off topic.
Here we go. Here we go.
I wish that Brett Deyo would embrace what the Short Track Super Series was originally. I feel like it's turned into Super Dirt Series Light. And
That's crazy. I was literally thinking about this on the way home today.
Yeah. I want them, like, there's no, if I'm a fan, right? And I mean, I am a fan, but there's not the South region has the South guys, right?
Yep.
But the North region, I know Chris Robbie ran a majority of it last year. I know Robert Bublak ran a majority of it last year, but only 3 guys chased the whole thing. And it was Jack Lehner, who you can see on the Super Dirt Series. It was Matt Shepard, who you can see on the Super Dirt Series, and Dan Morgevitz. And Dan Morgevitz is a good young driver coming up, but I want more Dan Morgevitzes to be running this tour. I mean, it used to be, it would be Becchetti and Jerry Higbee and Matt DiLorenzo and Brett Haas and Bobby Hackle. And I think Bobby Hackle might be coming back onto it, but and it was draw shows, and it's just there's nothing that necessarily sets it apart right now from the Super Dirt Series. And I understand why Brett did that, because for a little bit there he had a lot of momentum and he kind of wanted to go head to head with the Super Dirt Series, and the drivers want time trials, and I actually don't necessarily mind time trials if I'm in the minority for that, but I think it leads to less wrecked equipment and a cleaner night overall. But if you already have a series that runs time trials, we don't need another one that runs time trials. Let's set it apart and go back to draw shows, and let's go back to places. I mean, honestly, I kind of like the schedule going to places like Middleford this year, and a second date at Kutztown, and but I love Lebanon Valley, but like nothing gets me excited about going to Lebanon Valley because the Super Dirt Series always goes there. Like go back to places like Woodhull, and I understand why they don't go to Penn Can because of the financial issues that happened the last time, but places that the Dirt Tour is not already at, or else you just, there's no differentiating other than sail panels, and I don't like sail panels. I said it.
It's funny because I'm currently in the process of planning which tracks and what races I need to go to this year. So, you guys watching at home, you could comment on my video I posted last week, letting me know where I should go. But the Pennsylvania Sprint Car guys started up their own regional touring series. You have the All Star Circuit of Champions, which is a regional touring series. You have Power Eye, a regional touring series. Um, in 360 sprint car stuff, you have ESS, you have the ASCS. What I think the short track super series needs to do is break themselves up into, instead of having two regions, have four, have a north, a south, a Canadian, and a west. And I think you have 5 to 8 shows on once a track, or one time at a certain track every season, and let these guys, some of these young drivers, some of these young teams, get a taste and a feel of what it's like touring at different tracks throughout the year. And when they're ready to graduate to Super Dirt, they'll be much more prepared than just some random rookie who has money and thinks he could do it. I would love to see Cole Stangle and Tanner Van Doren and Watt compete on a 5 to 8 race mini schedule in the South region. I think stuff like that would be really cool. And now they're used to touring on different tracks. Graduate, go up, go run for a lot more money.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's okay to be a stepping stone for the Super Dirt Series. We don't necessarily
There's nothing wrong with it.
Right, no, and they complement each other. They're rivals. Don't get me wrong. I know that they don't like each other, but the competition is good for us as fans and the sport as a whole. It's good for the sport, but it doesn't necessarily mean they have to be on equal levels to be competition. It can be a situation, like I said. I mean, Anthony Perego is a good example. Anthony Perego started on the short track Super Series, excelled at that, moved up. Alex Jankowski is another one. Like, and embrace that. I wish, truthfully, and I know this. It doesn't make sense for him to do it because we are a regional situation, but I wish that Brett would schedule a North race against the Super Dirt Series race when they're up in Quebec, run a show at Afton or, wherever. And, that those guys then know, like, all right, well, we have a shot at beating Shepard for this championship.
Right.
But otherwise, there's really no incentive for it. Like, I loved that I would be ecstatic if Chris Robbie ran the whole thing this year. If Robert Bublack ran it, I believe Jackson Gill is going to try to run the whole thing this year on the north side. Like,
Yep.
if you can get like a good 10 guys that like that, that's exceptional. Like, you don't necessarily need Matt Shepard and Matt Williamson. Like, for your big races that, your Port Royal race, sure, get them all there, but you don't necessarily need those guys to take all the championship money at the end of the year at the same time. So I don't know. I wish that he would embrace it more. I understand why he doesn't, because let's face it, Matt Shepard, Matt Williamson, Stuart Freeze, and those guys are going to draw the fans.
Yep.
But I think that there's a place for that, and I think that it could be successful. It just needs time to develop, and that's where I don't think it's going to happen because of that. But yeah,
That's funny that we both had this thought at the same time. I think really, if he wants to go up against a World Racing Group series, go up against the 358 series. They don't do a regional series. They just do the 358 series. So try to draw some guys into there. Use your series as a stepping stone for them to become better racers, better race teams, and then graduate onto Super Dirt.
Yeah, and like he embraces the open motor rules, which this is just preference. I'm a big block guy, so I don't love the open motors. But it's weird that then we go to tracks that don't run open motors weekly. They're not legal, so
Right.
it's hard because it's he and I don't want to discredit anything because he's done a really good job of building it up from what it was initially. I mean, this was originally the short track super nationals, and it's grown to a whole region, and he's done a good job of climbing out of the situation that he was in a couple of years ago. But I just wish that we would go back to where we were, 10 years ago in that series.
Jimmy in the chat says sail panels are the best. I've slowly grown to love them the more I go to Accord. And Kevin says Bedford is different.
Bedford's a good one. That's a fun one. I'm looking forward to that. I wish that race was it's a Sunday, so I kind of wish a Sunday in March. So I wish it was starting at like 2. I know I'm in the minority that I like afternoon shows, but no, but Bedford's a fun one, and I wish that Lernerville was on there, but And honestly, the South region in general isn't bad because there isn't a tour down there.
Right.
So like, like you said, Tanner Van Doren and Logan Watt, they do chase that, and Danny Buck chases it, and Ryan Goodon. So you do see different guys. But like the caveat is it's the same guys that you used to see when Bridgeport would run $4,000 to win races on a Wednesday throughout the summer. Like it's the guys that just travel to those things now. And again, it's still really good fields. Don't get me wrong. I'm not discrediting that. The South region works more because there's nothing competing against it, while the North region is kind of right in the Super Dirt Series' backyard,
Mhm.
and they kind of are all around there, and then that's why it turns into Super Dirt Series Light. So, I almost wish that he would have done one tour, but like the problem is that it's so far to travel if you're running in Middleford for Delaware and then sending guys to Granby, because I know those
Right.
shows do well, so you're not going to pull that off the schedule. But I feel like even one tour would really help because again, going back to when I first started, Dwayne Howard chased the whole thing for the first few years, and Mike Guler did that. And instead it's a situation where the South fans still see the South drivers, and yeah, you get Alex Payne and Matt Shepard there, but the North fans don't get to see some of these guys. They don't get to see Danny Buck travel up there anymore because it's split up that way. I don't know. It's a tough spot, and I'm very happy that the Short Track Super Series is still around, and look forward to attending some of those races. But just wish that it would kind of be a different group of guys, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah,
And sail panels
absolutely.
aren't. I don't care what you say.
Anyway, you could watch them on Flow this year. I have this one labeled Just Kiss already. Uh, the promoters of Afton Motorsports Park and Penn Can Speedway renewed their handshake partnership that hopes to make modified racing in the Southern Tier just a little more affordable. The two tracks started this last season and seem to have worked to wow. The two tracks started this last season and seem to have worked well enough to where they will do it again this season. The collaboration includes a unified rulebook, consistent classes that race weekly, and biggest of all, the winner of the race at Penn Can will get a free pit pass at Afton, and vice versa, with winners at Afton the next week getting in at Penn Can. I love seeing tracks work together like this, and I'm really happy to see the positive support from both track fans, competitors, and sponsors.
Yeah, for sure.
Struggled to read that one for a second.
Anytime you get tracks working together, it's great. I mean, it kind of reminds me of there was the Star Series back in the day that between 5 Mile Point and Penn Can, I think Afton, if I remember right. Obviously Thunder Mountain running Hoosiers and everything like that. It helps them kind of gang up on them, for lack of a better term. And it's both tracks are able to benefit from it. After I feel like Penn Can benefits a little bit more than Afton, but that has to happen one way or another. So I just wish them both the best this year. Penn Can has a new guy in place. I forget the promoter's name now, which is embarrassing, and I'm sorry for not doing my homework on that. But Afton getting Jamie Page back in place was huge for them last year, and they had a big year, and the car counts ballooned right back up to where they were before. And they should be set for another really good year, and hopefully Penn Can's able to bounce back after some struggles towards the end of last year.
Yeah, I mean, we started the broadcast out talking about New Egypt closing down. You have to wonder that if New Egypt and Bridgeport didn't constantly go head to head with each other, maybe they would both still have a relatively full schedule. Um, but regardless, two tracks working together, it gives us the benefit and the reassurance that worst case scenario, one goes down, the other track not too far away is going to be there to be able to pick it back up. You'll be seeing relatively the same guys, a lot of the same fans, maybe just racing on a different night, and it could help ease that blow. But tracks working together, man, I'm all for it. I think that's the number one issue that we need to tackle. And we maybe should look closer at the Pennsylvania Sprint Car Series that just started up. Jimmy says Nate Aldrich, I believe, is the promoter of Penn Can now.
Yeah, and he did a good job. I did not think the King of the Can was going to happen last year, and he did a good job getting that together. And for all intents and purposes, for everything he had working against him, it ended up being relatively a success. So hopefully he's able to ride that momentum. And I'm interested to see if this is, because I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and you can correct me,
Mhm.
but I think the only guy that ended up blasting all year at both tracks was Justin Holland. I know like Brett Tonkin originally started both, but he fell off a pen can. I know Brad Weaver fell off a pen can. I know Dennis Clapperton fell off a pen can. So hopefully there's more crossover with the drivers. And obviously that's just the modified division. The other divisions
Yes.
have quite a bit of crossover, but yeah, hopefully it's able to they're able to actually, cross promote and run some people are able to take advantage of that. Win on Penn can get in free at Afton.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look to see if it is Justin Holland. I don't think it's Justin Holland. I think Holland missed a race at Afton.
Oh, really?
I
So yeah, I don't know if anybody actually competed at both tracks the whole season,
huh.
which is
Yeah,
strange, but I
yeah,
mean
we're gonna
it's
have to look
expensive
into that.
to get a car for 2 nights.
So I actually, Mr. Wago, did an interview earlier this week with my buddy Tyler Coughlin, who helps promotes Afton Motorsports Park directly underneath Ron Ford. So I'm going to cut away to this interview. Me and you will be able to drink a little bit more of this Coors Light. And it's about an 8-minute interview. So everyone, I hope you enjoy the kind of okay journalism I did here. I'm joined here with Tyler Coughlin. You might remember him from when I went to Afton and recorded the weekly race showcase there. Tyler, thank you so much for taking time out of your night to come say hi to everybody.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So had a couple questions for you. The very first one is probably my most favorite news story to come out of the offseason is that once again, Afton Motorsports Park is going to partner up with PennCan to help drivers and teams get to both tracks on both nights that they race. Can you just talk a little bit about how the partnership went with you guys last year?
Yeah, so last year was definitely a good thing when obviously when tracks work together and we can kind of all work on the same page. It's a good thing no matter who you are. Last year, that being said, it wasn't a seamless experience as far as like the rules and stuff. There was some difference between like weights and the factory stock rules for sure. That was different. But our drivers, our shared racers definitely benefited. There's one driver in particular, 23, Colin Mills in the front wheel drive class. I don't think he paid more than 2 times the first night and somewhere in the middle of the season where he didn't go to either track and had to pay because he dominated and he took advantage of the win in your in thing and he just kept going back and forth.
And that you mentioned the rule book. That was something that was a part of the news story that came out. Is that you guys are going to match your rule book a lot more closely this season?
We had the same exact rule book. Me, Todd, and Nate kind of got together on that, and we did the same PDF, and we put each other's logos on it, and we went through it, said looks good, and we both posted it. So exact same rules, all 6 classes.
Awesome, man. I mean, I love to see the cooperation between teams, tracks, sponsors to keep the sport going alive, especially in your region. Something else I wanted to ask about was that Afton Speedway, one of, if not the first tracks to post their schedule for 2026. Can you just touch on how you guys were able to get your schedule done and put together so quickly?
Yeah, that was a lot of my doing on that part. I'll take that part. Because of last year, how it all came together, we got told we had the track in January and we had to, in 3 weeks time, put a schedule together, get it out there, let everybody know what was going on, try to get racers to come to us again. Cause it was Hoosiers the year before. We're back to American racers, sometimes different set of drivers, whole different package. So wanted to get that out there as fast as I could. And we also we've had a great working relationship with Brett Deo and the Short Track Super Series over the years. And it's kind of not dwindled down as the relationship, but more of the series has gotten so big that they couldn't really come to us because we don't have the capacity in the stands to hold that many people. So we wanted to, once COVID happened and then we got the track back, we worked with Brett a lot this year to get 2 series races that were full points. We haven't had a points race since long before I was there. Anyway, and I've been there this will be my 6th year. So we got that. And so I wanted to get that out as fast as, so once those races were done at the end of the year, mid-September, we reached back out to Brett. We went over everything. Everything went great. So we kind of drummed up some dates for that. So I could kind of pencil in some, hey, we're going to race. These guys are coming. I want to race these days. Let's see what we can do here. The other thing was because of how fast we put the schedule together last year and how we had to literally rebuild everything. Like we needed new water trucks. We needed transponder system. We needed so much to do that we kind of forgot about the fan aspect, as in like big kids bike races, spectator races, and just the novelties of the racing.
Mhm.
We still did bike giveaways each week. Each kid got a raffle ticket each week, a bag of candy, this and that. But this year we wanted to really take the time to schedule some more fan experience stuff and get it out as fast as possible. Because I also wanted to start with the weather we have now in New York State, even though right now it's -20 out.
Yeah, I'm miserable right now, man.
Really? It seems that winter doesn't start until December, mid-November. So we could potentially race a little longer, which people want to race, but no one wants to do it for points
Mhm.
at that point of the season because you're burnt out at that point and you want to just have some specials.
Right.
So we wanted to do a Halloween thing, have the kids come out and do another park the cars on the horse track, put them all out there, and do a trunk or treat with race cars. A couple years ago, I think in 2022 was the last time we had a non-winners night. So we're going to do that this year at the end of September. And instead of just being like one class, normally it's the crates. We'll have a winless crates night.
Mhm.
We're going to dedicate the whole night to anyone who doesn't have a feature win in every class.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
but that was the other thing is that we wanted to get it out so drivers know they can plan vacations. They then also understand the expectation from us, as in show up points. People don't like show up points. Some people don't care about show up points.
Mhm.
Whereas a business aspect to the racing, show up points guarantee your local people will be there.
Right.
That doesn't mean they're going to show up, but it's more of an incentive if they're running for points, which sounds money hungry. I know that sounds that way, but the reality of it is without the support, we're not there any other week. So for these special shows, if you come, I'll give you 25 extra points. You can pad car counts. You can put fans in the stands to come watch them,
Mhm.
and just it's good for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. It helps the promotion of the event and everything.
Right. And we hate to spring it. If any new date was to come up, that wouldn't be that way. But we wanted to get this schedule out ahead of time so that people could plan. They could make whatever reservations they needed to, so they know the dates ahead of time. And there's really no excuse to, I can't make this because I just found out about it. We've
Right.
had it out for 6 months now.
Right. So is there any big race or any special race you have marked on the calendar that you're personally really excited to watch or just be a part of?
Any of the Deo races are awesome because you get a lot of outsiders.
Right.
Like last year, Matt Shepard came in first night, spanked everybody,
Mhm.
which no one wants to see. But he's a damn good driver. So it's cool to see the bigger names come because it's for points for the series.
Mhm.
But I'm also really excited for that winless night because you're going to see somebody that you haven't given a check to all year. You haven't gone out with the big trophy check and they got their picture with them, talked to them. And then that Halloween special, that's going to be nice. Seeing all the kids out there, all the drivers, be a good time.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to say to the people watching?
Get out, support your local dirt track, no matter where it is.
All right, Tyler Coughlin, promoter of Afton Motorsports Park. Well, part of the promotion team of Afton Motorsports Park. Thank you, brother.
Ron Ford's a big man. And got me and Todd underneath him.
There you go. Thank you again for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Tom.
Absolutely. That was so cool to do. That was oh, where'd the mic? Hold on. There you go. We're back. That was so cool to do. I mean, I'm a fan. I don't have a lot of these in connections. I'm not a part of any big team. So when I'm able to talk to someone who actually does this for maybe not a living, but very regularly, to see events from the eyes of a promoter, it's so cool and interesting to see how other people actually think about this stuff.
Yeah, and it really puts into perspective how much work goes into all of it.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful. Whether it's teams, the promotion team, and any of them, anybody involved in it. I mean, it's a lot of it's volunteer work, I would imagine, and it's the amount of time that it takes, without much return on that. Thank God there's so many people that do that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, we talked a lot about track news. We talked a lot about event news. Let's switch over to some driver and team news. Bang.
All right,
There
love
we
it.
go. Wa to the one. I thought it'd be really funny to do this one fully in French, but I'm way too Italian American for that to work. So Davide Bear parted ways with the Paille Corset number ONE modified, and in his place will be Mr. 100 Races Hollywood Felix Wa. This came as a huge surprise to everyone in the industry, as there were no warning signs or tabloids hinting that this might happen. The team said look for a detailed schedule soon, but Felix did make public that he will still drive his family-owned number 91 for the Super DIRTcar Series. I'm going to theorize that this drive will be for the STSS series with them, as they were almost full-time last year, as well as the Canadian Big Block Series. Felix will be in the number 91 for the Florida races. Except he won't, because 2 days ago, Felix made a post on Facebook showing an image of his family-owned business and race shop burned down, also saying that someone who helps them out passed away in a fire. So he canceled his Florida trip. Felix Wa had a very up and then a very down off season, Jamie.
Yeah, no, thoughts obviously with the entire business, with the entire race team. Hopefully, obviously, thoughts, prayers, love, all that to the life that was lost. But yeah, I mean, just discussing the racing side of it, Felix debuted in that car at Orange County, and I think after that, we kind of thought that Felix was going to be the guy that took over that car. Obviously, that is a powerhouse up in that neck of the woods. They're going to focus on Granby as well on Friday night. So Felix is going to run Granby on Fridays. We'll be leaving Albany as his Friday night home. But, truthfully, when Felix was announced as that driver, I was a little disappointed just because Felix already has the resources to go big block racing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of rumors about Sebastian Goujon being considered for that ride. There was some American drivers that were being named for it. But, in hindsight now with what has happened, it's a blessing that he ends up in that car because he still has all those resources and able to get out and at the racetrack. And I'm sure for him, just like all of us, racing is an escape. So hopefully he's able to, I believe they're planning on debuting that ONE car at Port Royal. That was the initial plan. So hopefully he's still able to do that. Actually, I was told today that there's still a chance that they go to Volusia just to get away and kind of clear their heads, and get things kind of back to some level of normalcy. We'll see what ends up happening. I would be shocked if that happens, but yeah, going back to the ride deal here, kind of circling back to the David A. Bear side of it. It was a weird situation because we saw the battle between Steve Bernier and David Hebert that ended up leading to them both being suspended for the championship night, and then Hebert ends up losing the Granby championship by a single point to Mikel Perrant. That was kind of the start of the frustrations, so to speak, and it bled into. I mean, Hebert was out of that car by. I mean, I think he was out of it by Labor Day, wasn't he? It was like early September.
It was before Eastern States. It was after the Fonda 200.
Okay. So that's right. Because he ran the Fonda 200. That might have been his last start in that car. But the other part of that, I mean, Felix Wa and that team, they're going to be great. Honestly, I would say that they're probably the championship favorite for Granby now. Felix is a former champion of that Canadian Big Block Series, so you mix him in that situation, it's going to be tough to beat him. He's got his crew chief coming on board to that team. David Hebert is taking the former crew chief of the ONE with him. But I'm interested to see how David Hebert ends up driving the Jasmine Levier car. I think the guy that's going to really benefit out of all this is Elliot Kamash. He, young guy that broke in and hopped into that ride when they parted with Chris Robbie. Picked up a shocking win at RPM in one of his first starts in a modified after being a solid, really good sportsman driver, but I don't think anybody saw that win coming. And now he, along with having a solid arsenal of equipment, including big blocks and 58s, now has one of the best drivers in Quebec history to sit there and bounce eyes off of and kind of learn from him, almost a mentorship role, along with having one of the most established crew chiefs up there. So
Right.
I'm interested to see how the 4K and the 4H operate up there. David Hebert is going to still be good. He's still going to be solid. I mean, he's very tedious. He's very meticulous. He's still going to be the man to beat up there. But I'm interested to see how much his influence helps Eli Gamash's team and really kind of turns that into a 2-team powerhouse. And it's going to be another fun little side battle there, watching Wa and Hebert battle out on Friday nights at Granby.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason David Hebert earned the nickname as the Great Canadian Champion. He's just up there with Matt Shepard in terms of raw talent. It's just Hebert might not travel.
I think they are going to actually a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see. I know that Hebert, they're not going to do that this year, but Hebert has said that one of the last things he wants to do before he retires is run the whole Super Dirt Series. And I think there are some trips planned for some of the big races to do a little bit of big block racing down in the United States a little bit. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But yeah, it's again, it's going to be a fun little side topic to see how those really 3 teams kind of clash against each other and the side battles between them. Because Hebert is a super competitive guy, so he's not gonna.
Oh, right, yeah.
He's not. Well, yeah, he's got a fire lit under him right now. So, yeah, he for all intents and purposes, he should have been the Granby champion last year. I mean that suspension was, to me, it seemed extreme. But so he's coming off a year where he should have been champion, still ended up parting ways with that team, lands on his feet with another one after some people were saying he was going to retire and it was time to retire. And yeah, I think he's going to come out swinging.
Yeah, because race car drivers totally retire without any issue around here, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Alex Payne has inked a deal with the Butch Getz Motorsports number 15G modified for selected races in the 2026 season. While Payne continues to drive his family-owned 70A for most of the season, Alex will strap into a second car prepared by the Getz team for certain Big Diamond and Grandview races. Alex said in an interview that he's most excited for the opportunity to race the Freedom 76 at Grandview in the car. It's also public that along with this deal with Getz, he will attempt a total of 100 races in 2026 with his family team on tour and Saturdays at Land of Legends and the Tim Gibson's number 19 at Outlaw Speedway on Fridays. 100 races.
Yeah, I mean, he went from a year ago right now, he lost his ride. Ended up kind of having to restart his family-owned team with no sponsorship. Now he has the Getz ride for some 358 races. He has the Genic Racing team for Francois Belmois that he's running down at Alltech right now. I'm going to run some of the Super Dirt Series races at. He has his own car, and he has the Tim Gibson car. So he landed on his feet pretty strong. And there was nobody hotter at the end of the year than Alex Payne. So it's going to be all those rides he's going to run up front with. He's going to be competitive. He's going to be a championship contender at Outlaw. I'm interested to see how he does at Grandview. He's an up on the wheel kind of guy, and you have to run that way at Grandview. So I think that track's going to suit his driving style pretty well. But you're going to get thrown in with the wolves pretty much, because I'm assuming that he's going to run the Thunder on the Hill races. I think it's him running the Freedom 76 is a little bit of a note because I thought he was going to be running the Short Track Super Series North region, but that's running against the Fonda 200 this year. So he's kind of already saying that he's going to be skipping that. So going to be interesting to see what this is unrelated, but just related to the 76er and the Fonda 200, what Alex Jankowski does, because the Freedom 76er does pay more than the Fonda 200. But Alex Jankowski is a Fonda driver. He's a former winner of the Freedom 76er. He has the Rich Stankiewicz ride. So what does he do? What do some of these other guys that are not necessarily Short Track Super Series full-timers do? I would assume Stuart Friesen will go to the Fonda 200, but he's another guy. He's won the Freedom 76er. Freedom 76er pays more. It's less money or less laps. It's less of you're only there for the one day. So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. And I'm also interested to see what this ends up turning into for Alex Payne. Dwayne Howard has contemplated retirement the last few years.
What did I just say? What did I just say about drivers retiring, man?
Well, he himself has brought that up a couple of times, and he's scaling back this year. He's only running Big Diamond. He's not going to run Grandview weekly, even though he's the defending champion. So he is starting to scale back a little bit. So I'm interested to see if Butch potentially gets more involved in Alex Payne's program. He's already a sponsor on there, but interested to see if potentially after Dwayne Howard does eventually retire, if Butch gets kind of goes, not that he's going to field the car for him full time or anything like that, but if he kind of dissolves the 58 team and focuses on just kind of assisting Alex. So interested to see what this all leads to down the road.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about Wah, who went from a really high to a really low in the past offseason. Alex Payne, 19, 20 years old. Very early on in the offseason, he lost a sponsor. He said his team had one modified and it had one engine. He went on to finish in the top 3 in Super DIRTcar Series points and now has 3 separate rides lined up.
Yeah.
Buy stock in Alex Payne, who I dubbed Soul Train Alex Payne.
I like it. I like it. You know, there's not enough rhyming nicknames out there.
All right, so we talked about a Canadian driver. We talked about a capital region, central region driver. Let's hit a southern region driver. Guler to Scrappy. Scrappy Racing is another to make massive waves on the driver market this winter. It was announced that the team has parted ways with Loudon Reimer and has tapped Mike Guler to pilot the number 58 modified at Georgetown and select shows in 2026. Mike will still pilot his family-owned number 53 DKM whenever he isn't behind the wheel of the 58, including races at Big Diamond. The partnership kicks off at Volusia next week with the DIRTcar Gator Nationals.
Yeah, I'm excited about this because I think Mike Guler doesn't get enough credit for how good he is. When he took over that Terry Faustinot ride from Danny Erb, he kind of turned into Pennsylvania's best traveling big block guy for a little bit there. I mean, he ran the Super Dirt Series and struggled a little bit at that point, but he ran Orange County Weekly, was a weekly competitor there, ran well at Super Dirt Week. He won a short track Super Series race at Orange County. He went down to Florida and won when the modifieds were at Bubba's. He's got a Grandview Championship. He's got a Big Diamond Championship. He's got a New Egypt Championship. He's got a Penn Can Championship. He won the Freedom 76er. It turned into our best traveling driver for a little bit from down in my area. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the unfortunate passing of Terry, his car owner before, he's back to his own equipment last year. And now he ends up kind of getting a new big block ride. I would be disappointed that Loudon Reimer is out of that because he's one of the true rising stars of this, but it actually ends up being a net gain for us as modified fans because Doug Florer, who owns the 16 car that Loudon Reimer runs weekly at Big Diamond and Grandview, they're going big block racing. So he's going to still have that car for Big Diamond and Grandview, but Loudon Reimer now is going to be in the 16 car for big block races as well. So instead of it being a situation where basically we're getting an extra team out on the road this year. So I'm excited to see what Loudon Reimer does, driving for Doug Florer on the road, along with what Mike Guler is able to do in this Greeby 58. I'm a little worried, Reimer and Greeby lasted for a while, but at first, Sean Metz drove that car, Tim Buckwalter drove that car. It took a little bit for them to kind of get comfortable, and they got a relatively quick hook. I don't think that's going to happen with Mike Guler, but just if things don't work out well at Volusia, I mean, like we said, it's going to be a tough field. It's a new team, it's a new partnership. Mm-hmm. I just hope that he has enough slack that if for some reason they do struggle out of the gate, it's not a quick pull.
Yeah, exactly. If they keep patience, if they keep at it, if they just use this first season as a learning curve. This team is going to be an absolute powerhouse with Guler behind the wheel whenever any big race below the New York-Pennsylvania line goes live. I mean, I think Guler is genuinely one of the most underrated drivers in modified racing.
Yeah, I agree. And the fun part about that team too is, Loudon Reimer went up and he ran Summerfest, and he, that team did travel. They weren't afraid to travel by any means. So they ran Eastern States. Getting Mike Guler back into a big block and being able to get him out on the road. And like I said, it's not a situation where we're replacing Guler with Reimer because Reimer has a big block ride lined up as well. So we're still getting Loudon Reimer to travel up and run these races. And on top of that, we now have Guler in a quality ride. So I'm excited for it. And it's a big gain for Georgetown too. I mean, he's going to run for the championship there, and now they have another quality guy that's going to be one in that championship contention with Pouch Jr., with Watson, and he's again a big get for them.
Yeah, the Grandview Championship battle absolutely going to be one to watch because it's one of those things where you have no idea what's going to happen as the season goes on.
Yeah, Grandview is going to be really exciting this year. I don't want to I don't know if any of this is actually true, but I've heard a lot of names of people from some of those other tracks that have questionable schedules, so to speak, going there. And I mean, there's a legitimate chance that they could approach 50 cars weekly. So yeah, Gulu will be on his own 53 for that, and he did a really good job. I mean, nobody kind of. I don't think he got enough credit for how good he did for DKM last year. He almost won that short track Super Series race at Action Track. He wasn't. I mean, he still finished fourth in points at Big Diamond despite missing the last 2 or 3 shows. He was in championship contention there. He was in championship contention at Grandview until about 2 weeks ago when he had mechanical issues that kind of cost him that deal. And I mean, he's kind of on an island. There's not many people running DKMs anymore, and he has that thing dialed in.
Yeah, it's rare to see a DKM. I hate to say dominate, but run up front. He was able to do it many, many times.
Yeah, it kind of takes us back to when they first burst out there with Friesen and Jesse Mueller and some of those guys.
Yep. The Short Track Super Series has put a nail in their coffin of preseason Floridian racing with the announcement that they will no longer be the promoters of the Sunshine Swing. That doesn't mean big block modified racing will die at All Tech Raceway, however. Dirt Track Digest has stepped up to the plate to take over the event for 2026. Now dubbed the Showdown in the Sunshine State, Northeast Modifieds will continue to tackle the track in Lake City, Florida for 4 straight nights. Wednesday night, tonight, is practice night, followed by 3 consecutive full program shows Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Each night will be a 40-lap feature that pays $5,000 to the winner. Confirmed entries include Alex Payne, Jimmy Phelps, Crummert, Rudolph, TVD, Yankowski, Darren Smith, and Morseman IV. I try to get a few drivers from every region we have in there. Sportsman will also be on the card as a supporting class every night. Live streaming is available on dtd.tv. They really hate billing shows that are difficult to pronounce. Showdown in the Sunshine State.
You got to go with a lot of alliteration. It's all about
really hey, midweek modifieds, baby. That's where we're at.
That's right. No, I'm trying to look to see if there's any kind of entry list on for who's all at practice tonight, but I'm not seeing anything. I saw pictures of like Larry White's car. I saw Donovan Lucier's unloaded down there, Matt Caprera, Rick Laubach, Danny Creedon, Eric Rudolph, Matt Williams, Matt Shepard. He debuted his new paint scheme down there. That was down there.
Beautiful car.
I'm trying to think. Aiden Cipriano, I saw.
He was on there.
Yeah, it's going to be a. It's going to be there's a bunch of storylines. I'm interested to see how ultimately it works out. Don't forget, this is going to be they're completely mirroring the Super Dirt Series rules for this, including the new deck height rule. So this will be the debut of that. So that's something to follow along with. Seeing Stuart Friesen's return, Matt Shepard's new colors being out there, Donovan Lucier moving up, and also just the general storylines. Tanner Van Doren was second in the Sunshine Swing points last year. So can he break through with his first, really big win down there? Can Anthony Perego? I believe Anthony Perego has his Troyer down there. Does Anthony Perego, how does that work out? I believe Eric Rudolph has the GSR chassis down there. So there's a lot of fun storylines to watch along with. I mean, Altax had really good racing over the past years. Everybody always really talks about and commends that track surface. So I get it. I know a lot of people are unhappy about the pay-per-view pricing. I get it, but Mike Mallet and Dirt Track Digest, they do a lot for the sport. It's a big investment for them. They share the proceeds with the track, which is why they do it that way. So if you can support it, support it. They're not. I promise you, they're not nickel and diming as much as it seems like. It might seem based on their pricing structure. I'm gonna tune in, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk pricing, really, if you look at it, it's the price of 2 tickets per night. That's all it is. Two $20 tickets, and just you don't have to pay for food, you don't have to pay for travel, you don't have to pay for a hotel. You're still kind of saving money.
Right. Yeah, no, and it's and hell, if you just fly down there, because what is it, like $10 to get in each night? I think they have the ticket pricing like cut way back to try to get some of those local fans, because obviously name recognition is not going to matter to Florida fans that don't ever see our modified. So they don't know the difference between you and me showing up in race cars and Danny Creedon, or they might know Matt Shepard or Matt Williamson, but some of the other really talented guys. So I hope that it works out. And I wish more tracks would do some of that lower dollar front gate situation to try to get people in there, and because if some people come in there and like what they see, then we gain a couple new fans. So
Right.
if nothing else, hopefully that comes out of this, and hopefully it's successful, that this continues. It isn't a one and done thing. But yeah, I'm wishing them all the best.
I didn't write it down, but I think I saw that it's only big blocks and small blocks aren't allowed.
I I think that it is. I don't think that any small blocks are going to show up. I think it is completely big block rules, which mean, or Super Dirt Series rules, which would mean that 350H would have to weigh the 2,500 that a big block would.
Okay.
So there's really not a benefit. Like Alltech's big enough. I know it's really slippery, but I would assume Alltech's big enough that the small blocks would kind of get eaten alive down there.
It's a flat half mile, so it'd
Yeah.
be really hard to see a small block be competitive like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was premier for those open motors. It was great for those open motors because it's so slick. But yeah, I think the big blocks will kind of eat up the spec 358s at least.
Do you want to give a little prediction on who you think might win at least one race, or if you want to do the whole championship week-long thing?
I mean, honestly, like Stuart Friesen's so locked in there, it's hard to go against him. I understand everything going against him in terms of how long he's been outside of the car and everything like that, but he still, has Tommy Conroy. He still has the Hallmark team behind him. I think he's going to be really hard to beat. And he has so many laps around there. I mean, he's the all-time winningest guy down there. And like I said, coming off first and second, I think last year is what he got. I mean, he was dominant down there. So I think he probably takes two of them, honestly. And then, I would guess. I don't want to say Matt Williamson, but it's hard to go against Matt Williamson as well.
He took his the Buzz Chew ride, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. He has that car down there. I know that he struggled a couple of years ago when he was there, but when he was there with the Jeff Barrett 3, he was right in contention, ran up front the whole time. I mean, that was a situation a couple of years ago when he had his number 6 car down there where he was running his spec 58 against the opens. And I think the last night when the track really slipped off, he's still ended up with a top 5. So yeah, I think, I'm interested to see Tanner Van Doren's my dark horse because he was so fast last year. And I know he's got, some freshened up equipment. They discussed potentially chasing the whole Super Dirt Series. So, the Prime team's behind him fully. And he's always really fast down there. I'm also really excited to see how Eric Rudolph does.
I was going to say Rudolph, yeah.
And if that GSR chassis catches, and, I understand he didn't run against, massive fields, but he had a lot of success in that car at Tri-City and on the BRP Tour, which are bigger tracks. So if he can get that locked in, I mean, he's going to have something nobody else has down there. So yeah, I'm going to keep, I'll just to not say Matt Williamson, I will say that Tanner Van Doren's going to end up winning Saturday. Stuart Friesen wins the first 2 minutes.
I mean, Shepard's going to take 1, absolutely. I think Rudolph is going to take 2. He's been at that track every year. They've run it off the top of my head, so he has a good notebook there. And then Alex Payne just has so much momentum from the end of last season. I think he'll take a third. The third win. All right, so go ahead.
No, it should be a really good field of guy. I mean, it is wide open. Just kind of looking through some of the entries that are down there. I mean, neither of us talked about Alex Jankowski. He's as good as anybody. Especially with how, I mean, he won the Big Gator last year. I don't remember if he even ran Volusia or Alltech a year ago, which I guess doesn't bode that well for him. But, Rick Laubach has won quite a few races in Florida. He has at least a pair of wins at Volusia. It's gonna be a fun week. And like I said, it's just freaking race cars on track. So who cares? I don't care if there's not a pass the whole time. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it's been a long off season. I'm watching the Rangers take a nap every single night. Mets haven't started up yet. I need something to keep me alive, man. I can't wait to get dirt on my face all over again, even if it's just through the TV for the next 2 weeks. I'm just happy racing is back.
I agree. There's room on the Avalanche bandwagon, and around there is my Stanley Cup poster.
That's cute.
So
I was born in 98, man. I never saw a 94, so I'm still waiting for, this one will last my lifetime. I forgot
Yeah,
to
so
go to this screen after the interview. Normally halfway through the live streams, I'll ask the cross flag question to the viewers, who they think deserves to be on the thumbnail for the next live stream. This time around, I chose two or three two-time champions: Billy Dunn, Chris Raby, and Jordan Watson. Feel free to drop it in the comments who you guys want to vote for. If you're watching the replay of the live stream, you could drop it in the comments down there. I also post an actual poll on YouTube that you could vote there. So if you're watching live, you could vote 3 times. I don't care. Do you? I don't.
I don't. No, it's your show. I'm just happy to be here.
Well, we have definitely gone on way too long. I didn't think this would last over an hour, but here we are, an hour and 40 minutes. And I love talking about modifieds, man. That's it.
I agree.
Next live stream is going to be next week. I'm thinking Tuesday. I don't have all the logistics worked out yet. I don't want to do Wednesday because Super Dirt is going to be racing. I don't want to compete against them. I want to watch it myself. I'm probably shooting for Tuesday. Don't have any of the logistics yet out, guys. So tune into my Twitter and Facebook to keep up with that. Jamie, any closing words?
Nope. Just thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for joining me. It's so much easier to talk to someone else than myself for an hour. I'm boring.
Come on now. You're the bear.
Oh, stop that. All right, guys. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Really, this is just something fun I like to do. I'm a fan. Let's have some fun. All right. I don't have any other outro to say. Kevin says Maresca at the 11th
I wish
hour.
he was going. He's not going.
Oh, he's not going. Okay. I thought I saw he was going to Volusia.
Nope, he's skipping. He actually, so Jeremy, in that Scott Jeffrey fire, he lost a car and a motor.
Oh, okay. There it is.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't think I think he's going to be at Port Royal to start the year, but yeah, no Alltech or Volusia for Maresca, tentatively at least, unless anything changed in the last week and a half or so.
He has time. By God, is that
Yeah.
Maresca's music? All right, boys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Check out some of my other videos. Oh, for the thumbnail. Wait, he's not one of the nominees. All right.
We'll make him a nominee. I vote for him too.
All right, guys. Support your local. Subscribe. Do all that.